meteorologist Bill Kelly on your side.
Tonight, breaking news, the deadly border chase. A vehicle packed with undocumented immigrants crashing on an American highway, trying to outrun Border Patrol agents. Several people killed. This as protesters take on the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy and the separation of parents from their children. Festival chaos, 17 people shot, the deadly shooting erupting at an all-night arts festival, at least 2 gunmen opening fire. Extreme weather dangers, the tornado touching down, flash floods washing away homes and roads, and the dangerous heat heading into the Northeast. Sudden collapse, a ceiling coming down without warning, the emergency situation at a popular tourist spot. On the run, the urgent manhunt tonight for 2 escaped prisoners breaking out through this small hole. And the amazing rescue, teenage girls stranded on the side of a cliff. What rescuers had to do to get them out of the danger zone.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Tom Yamas, and we begin tonight with breaking news, the deadly border chase in Texas. At least 5 people killed, and the images are coming in right now. An SUV packed with undocumented immigrants crashing on a highway while trying to escape the Border Patrol. This as a crackdown is happening at the border, protests growing over the Trump administration's zero-tolerance immigration policy and the forced separation of parents and children at the southern border. President Trump falsely blaming Democrats for his own policy. And tonight, our correspondent allowed inside an immigration processing center, but barred from bringing cameras along. ABC's Marcus Moore leads us off.
Tonight, a deadly border chase. 12 undocumented immigrants thrown from a vehicle during a high-speed pursuit with Border Patrol agents near San Antonio. Officials say the car traveling at 100 miles per hour. At least 5 people died at the scene.
This is, I think, a perfect example of why our borders need to be secure.
The people united will never be divided.
This as protests at migrant holding and processing facilities grow.
So this is one of the groups of protesters that are outside the facility, the central processing facility here in McAllen, and they're saying, no están solos, telling the people inside that they're not alone.
Sharon Ellis is among the demonstrators.
I just don't think that this should be happening, and something has to be done.
We were part of a group of journalists allowed inside the processing center where we saw hundreds of people in holding cells. Some being held here could eventually be separated under the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy. Trump's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, pushing the White House agenda on this week.
The morality is the law. They're criminals when they come across, okay, illegally, and that's why they're getting separated.
On this Father's Day, former President Bill Clinton tweeting, these children should not be a negotiating tool, and reuniting them with their families would reaffirm America's belief and support of all parents who love their children. First Lady Melania Trump commenting for the first time publicly on the issue, saying, quote, she hopes both sides of the aisle can finally come together to achieve successful immigration reform. She believes we need to be a country that follows all laws, but also a country that governs with heart. Then there is that moving picture of a 2-year-old girl crying as her mother is detained, galvanizing a debate at the border. The front line at a crossroads of one fight to follow the law and another to preserve humanity.
And Marcus joins us now from McAllen, Texas, in front of that processing center. Marcus, like you, I've been down there at the border, and you get a sense of how many people are being detained and how quickly they are running out of space.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. So many people. I saw hundreds of people inside this processing center just behind me. And the Border Patrol says that it's been a challenge to try to process all of these cases. And I saw one man who was holding a child in his arms. Tom, he was sitting in front of a computer with a webcam, their case being processed remotely.
Marcus, more for us tonight. All right, Marcus, thank you. Next tonight, to deadly chaos erupting at an arts festival. Police responding to calls of shots fired, dozens of people caught in the crossfire. Investigators say at least 22 people were injured during the chaos in Trenton, New Jersey. At least 2 armed suspects opening fire, and everyone, you can see it there, trying to scramble for safety. Organizers say the event was created in part to stop violence. ABC's Ariel Reshef is in Trenton.
Who's hit over there?
Dramatic cell phone video capturing panic and chaos at a New Jersey art festival. 2 suspects opening fire, injuring more than 20 people, including a 13-year-old boy.
Rescue north and south, medic, City of Trenton. South Logan Avenue, the Roebling Shopping Center.
Gunshot victims.
Around 2:45 a.m. Sunday, shots ringing out in a gallery, sending the crowd of more than 1,000 scattering. 17 victims hit by the hail of bullets. Irvin Higginbottom was shot 4 times in the leg. What did it feel like when you felt those bullets enter your leg?
It was burning. It hurt. It was burning. It hurts now.
One of the alleged shooters, 32-year-old Wjla, gunned down on scene. 23-year-old Amir Armstrong now in custody facing charges. The violence erupting at Art All Night, a community event meant for families.
How surprised were you to hear, how saddened that something like this happened at a family event?
I was very surprised. In an area that's supposed to be a safe space and a safe area, it's very disheartening.
In a statement, organizers of the festival expressing shock and sadness. Our hearts ache, but our dedication and resolve to building a better Trenton will never fade. Not ever.
And Ariel joins us from the scene in Trenton now. Ariel, we saw you there speaking with the prosecutor, and he tells you this may all have started because of an argument?
That's right, Tom. The prosecutor says this event was not targeted. Those victims simply caught in the crossfire of a neighborhood dispute. Tom?
Ariel Reshef with that new reporting tonight. Ariel, thank you. Now to the extreme weather danger at this hour. Powerful storms from Colorado all the way to Michigan. This tornado hitting north of Madison, Wisconsin. Flash flooding causing major damage. Take a look at that. Streets washed away in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. And now dangerous heat settling into the Northeast to start the week. Here's ABC's senior meteorologist, Rob Marciano.
Tonight, Mother Nature's wrath on full display in Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
It's getting way higher.
Transforming this residential road in Houghton into a rushing river of debris. Flash flooding washing out neighborhoods, making street after street impassable. And the threat isn't over. Extreme heat to fuel more severe weather across the Midwest tonight. Already up to 11 inches of rain falling in parts of Wisconsin, with round 2 on the way.
It's back on the ground.
This resident capturing a tornado spinning near Poinet amidst the lightning. Duluth, Minnesota also getting soaked. Floodwaters swallowing cars there. And dark skies over Wyoming. Chunks of hail ricocheting off the ground in Cheyenne, pounding windshields and blanketing this busy highway.
Let's get right out to Rob. He's in New York Central Park. And Rob, I know you're going to tell us about that heat headed for the Northeast, but there's also the potential for more rain in those areas already flooded.
Yeah, they're going to get ahead again tonight, Tom. Take a look at the radar across the UP of Michigan, northern Wisconsin. Some of these storms have 60-plus mile-per-hour winds, and we have a severe thunderstorm watch up for that area. And as you know, it's saturated. Also, a tornado watch up for parts of western Nebraska. Already 2 reported tornadoes there. And your heat, here it is. In the morning, the heat is just not cooling off at night. So we start things off in the 70s and then get up into the 90s. You add in the humidity, and then it starts to feel like 100-plus degrees in Indianapolis, Charleston, and D.C. as well. So some dangerous levels as we head towards Monday. Tom?
All right, Rob, thanks so much. Let's turn now to politics. At the White House tonight, President Trump back on the attack against Robert Mueller amid a new headline about a longtime supporter admitting to meeting a Russian national during the campaign. Roger Stone revealing he had contact with a Russian promising dirt on Hillary Clinton in exchange for $2 million. Stone insisting the deal never went down, claiming it was an FBI setup. ABC's Tara Palmieri is at the White House.
Tonight, new revelations of yet another previously undisclosed meeting between a Trump loyalist and a Russian. ABC News confirming a Washington Post story that Trump's longtime confidant, Roger Stone, met with the Russian in Miami in May of 2016. The man, who called himself Henry Greenberg, allegedly offered damaging information on Hillary Clinton in exchange for $2 million. We spoke to Stone on the phone.
I thought the meeting was ludicrous. $2 million for unspecified documents. I had no interest. I knew he would have no interest. Never mentioned to him or anyone in his campaign.
Greenberg had reached out to an associate of the Trump campaign, Michael Caputo, who then set up the meeting with Stone. Caputo was asked about Russian collusion by Pierre Thomas last month.
Did you ever see or witness any contacts with the Russians?
No, and not at all. Nobody ever asked me about Russia. Nobody ever spoke to me about how Russia might help.
Stone said he ultimately did not agree to pay for the dirt on Clinton. The president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, claiming that the president was not aware of the contact.
No, I haven't talked to Roger. He's never talked to the president about it. So where's the collusion? And he said it was a waste of time.
Stone told ABC News in a statement, "I never discussed this approach, which I now believe was an FBI setup with Donald Trump." Stone and Caputo both alleging that the meeting was an FBI trap. That Greenberg had previously worked as an informant. Greenberg told the Post he hasn't worked with the FBI since 2013. The latest interaction means at least 11 Trump associates have admitted to having contact with a Russian during the campaign or presidential transition since the Mueller investigation began. Today, the president tweeting, "Witch hunt. There was no Russian collusion." Giuliani says it's Mueller's team that is showing bias.
This is a case where it's crying out for someone to investigate the investigators.
All right, Tara Palmieri joins us live from the White House. And Tara, I've just been told you just got off the phone with Roger Stone, and he tells you he's not worried about a perjury charge?
Tom, that's right. He said he's not concerned that he didn't tell congressional investigators about this meeting. He told me, quote, "I just didn't remember. 2016 was a busy year." He did add, however, that his lawyer sent a letter amending his testimony. Tom?
Tara Palmieri for us at the White House. Tara, thank you. We head overseas now, and the fragile ceasefire shattered in Afghanistan. 2 suicide bombings in 2 days, dozens killed. This despite the ceasefire called for the religious holiday, which ends at midnight. Government officials hoping to extend the truce. ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is in Kabul tonight.
It was a shattering blow to 3 days of relative peace in Afghanistan. A suicide bomb attack in the eastern city of Jalalabad, killing at least 19, more wounded. But the last 3 days will be remembered not for war, but peace. An unprecedented ceasefire by the men of the white flag, the Taliban, here joining policemen, soldiers and civilians to celebrate the Eid holiday at the end of the holy month of Ramadan. This incredible video was unimaginable just days ago, when these two sworn enemies were trying to kill each other. A Taliban fighter and an American-trained Afghan Special Forces soldier dancing. The government says it wants to extend this ceasefire. America backs it.
It's hard to overstate the mood here on the streets of Kabul. People are relaxed, people are happy. They've had 3 days of unprecedented ceasefire between the Taliban and the government. People are starting to think perhaps it could last.
It's a great moment for people of Afghanistan, but it should be continued forever.
After 17 long and bloody years of war, they deserve nothing less.
Tom, in the last few hours, the Taliban have said they will not extend their ceasefire, and already we're getting reports of a fresh wave of attacks against government forces. But the will of the people is clear here. They want peace, and they want it now. The question is whether the Taliban can afford to ignore that. Tom?
Ian Pannell with that new reporting on those new attacks. All right, Ian, thank you. And news tonight about the World Cup scare in Moscow. We told you about this last night. A taxi driver accused of plowing through a crowd of pedestrians, injuring at least 7, and then running from the scene. He claims he fell asleep at the wheel and ran off because he was afraid for his life. He thought the crowd was going to kill him. Authorities insist it was not a terror attack. Everyone did survive. And, of course, the World Cup is now underway in Russia. Back here at home, the urgent manhunt at this hour for 2 escaped prisoners in Illinois. A newly released image shows 3 inmates in their cell shortly before making their escape through this small hole in a wall, one now back behind bars. Here's ABC's Adrian Bankert.
Authorities on the hunt tonight for 2 of 3 inmates who escaped through this man-made hole at an Illinois jail, breaking through concrete and brick. The inmates seen on video just hours before carrying out their daring getaway.
And they used a pipe that we think was obtained from our privacy area for the shower areas, and they managed to batter and push that through.
One of the 2 escapees still on the run, Zachary Schock, awaiting trial on a first-degree murder charge. The 3rd escapee, Justin Bray, caught late Saturday after police say he jumped into this river. His getaway driver arrested after crashing at the water's edge. Her identity still unknown.
Jail officers meet with me at the rear of the jail. Appears to be a hole in the wall.
The inmates with a 2-hour head start before officials even noticed them missing. Cold comfort to frightened nearby residents.
When I go home, I'm going to make sure I lock my car and make sure I lock my apartment.
Tom, authorities tell us they've charged 3 individuals with aiding and abetting those inmates. U.S. Marshals have joined with local authorities, and they have canine and aerial units actively involved. Tom?
Incredible how they were able to escape through that tiny hole. All right, Adrian, thank you. And much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday. The Tesla bursting into flames. The Hollywood actress who wants people to see this video, what the company is now saying. Plus, looking to rent, the warning